There's a quiet ache that many people carry. Maybe you felt it. That question deep down. Am I seen? Am I valued? Am I worth fighting for? We don't always see the greatness within. You show up for others. You try to hold it together. But inside, you wonder if God's really paying attention to your life. The battles, the quiet breakdowns, the places where you feel like you're failing. But what if I told you that right now, heaven is not only watching, it's cheering? What if I told you that Matthew chapter 18 isn't just a passage of instruction, it's a love letter from God to you? It reveals how He sees you, how He fights for you, and how He wants you to see yourself and others. So, wherever you are right now, whether it be in your car, your kitchen, at your breaking point, or just quietly hoping for something more, join me, because God has a message for your heart. So in Matthew chapter 18, the chapter opens with the disciples asking Jesus something so human and relatable. Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? It's the same question we all ask in some form. Am I enough? Am I doing the right things? Why am I not getting ahead? But Jesus doesn't give them a checklist of accomplishments. He doesn't mention titles, platforms, or status. Instead, He calls over a small child. He gently places this child in their midst and says, "Unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." Now, you may ask, why a child? Because children know how to trust. They don't fake strength. They reach up when they need help. They fall and get up again. They live with wonder, honesty, and vulnerability. And God isn't looking for your performance. He's looking for your dependence, for your surrender. God wants your heart. And the road to greatness in God's eyes starts with bending low in humility, not climbing high in pride. But here's the beautiful truth. You don't have to strive to be seen, because you already are. Now, Jesus then tells a story that I just completely love. If a man has 100 sheep, and one of them wanders away, will he not leave the 99 to go and look for the one that wandered off? Now, you might be that one. I've been that one. And maybe life's knocked you down. Maybe you've made mistakes, drifted from your faith, or felt like your light has gone dim. Maybe you think God's forgotten you or moved on to better people. I have felt that way before in my life, and I will assure you, He hasn't left. Jesus is telling you, I will leave everything to come after you, not to shame you, not to scold you, but to carry you back with joy. You are not a burden. You are beloved. And when He finds you, it's amazing. He rejoices, not because you were lost, but because now you're found. That's how much you matter to Him. So, next, Jesus teaches something radical: how to deal with conflict and hurt. He says, if your brother or sister sins against you, go and show them their fault, just between the two of you. So, in other words, talk to them. Don't blast them and don't bury it. And definitely don't cancel them. Go to them with love. Why? Because God's heart is always for restoration. He doesn't want broken relationships. He wants healing. He wants wholeness. He wants us to fight for each other, not against each other. And you may not be able to control how others respond, but you can always choose the courage to forgive, to seek peace, and to let grace, instead of resentment, lead. And remember, you get to make that choice. And it's not a weakness, it's a strength. That's heaven's kind of strength. And then comes a question from Peter, and it's one I've asked and you've probably asked too. Lord, how many times should I forgive someone who continues to sin against me? 7 times? And he probably thought he was being generous, and then Jesus responds, I tell you, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. In other words, don't count. Just keep forgiving. And why? Because you know what? Forgiveness isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about setting yourself free. It's about releasing the poison of bitterness and letting God be the judge. And Jesus goes on to tell the story of a man who was forgiven an impossible debt, but then refused to forgive someone who owed him a small amount. And the lesson is piercing. How can we receive oceans of mercy from God, then withhold a drop of grace from others? It's a point that's pretty hard to argue with, isn't it? And you know, if you've been holding on to pain, let this be your moment to let go. Not for them, but for you. You were never meant to carry that weight. God has already forgiven you more than you can possibly fathom. So pass it on and set yourself free. You know, Matthew 18 is a mirror. It shows us the kind of heart God has and the kind of heart He invites us to have. It calls us to be small in the world's eyes, but great in God's eyes. To see wandering not as failure, but as an opportunity for rescue. To value peace over pride, forgiveness over fury, and restoration over revenge. And above all, Matthew 18 reminds us that we are not forgotten, and you are not too far gone. You are not a lost cause. You are the one He would leave the 99 for. You are the child He lifts up as an example, and you are the soul He forgives again and again. You are the reason heaven celebrates. So, lift your head today, because God's not done with your story. He's with you, He's for you, and He's already moving to bring you home. Heaven is not waiting for you to be perfect. Heaven is cheering for your return. And when you do, you won't be met with shame. You will always be met with open arms. God bless you, my friends. I hope you have a beautiful day. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.